that you can actually do, if you have a fairly firm mattress anyway, you could actually do this in your bed. Like the first thing you do when you wake up, grab your phone, put this on. Ultimately, you won't even have to watch it. You can even keep your eyes closed. You will be able to do this all on the floor for sure, or like I said, in bed. And we will start with you just lying onto your back. Close your eyes. Find your breath. Please engage in Ujjayi breath, and if you're not sure what that is, please refer to one of my other videos where I really talk about it. But basically, you're just inhaling for as long as you can through the throat, using the same muscles you use to gasp for air with. On the inhale, your throat will retract, the soft part of the throat will retract. This slows down the breath and gives your diaphragm a chance to breathe. So the belly will expand to accommodate the diaphragm as it descends into the abdominal cavity, offsetting and pushing down the internal organs toward the pelvic cavity. As you exhale, your abdominals engage, and your throat relaxes, so the throat gets wider here. So establishing Ujjayi breath is important, and I will remind you of this throughout class, but remember, even if I'm not reminding you, please keep breathing. Once you have established your Ujjayi breath, bring your hands to your belly. And by belly, I really mean below your ribs. One hand can be above the belly button, one hand below the belly button, so that you're breathing even into the pelvic cavity. Inhaling deeply into the pelvis, into the lower belly. Let the belly rise toward the sky. On your exhale, cinch your hip bones a little closer together. Draw your navel back towards your spine. And empty out completely. Once you can feel the breath in the front of your body, begin to feel the back of your body also expanding into your mattress or into the ground. If you are doing this seated as I'm doing, puffing up the kidneys and everything below your kidneys, including the back of your pelvis. And you can, if you are seated, you can place your hands in the back body to make sure that your back is expanding truly. The back and the front. And the abdominal pelvic cavity expanding on the inhale to make room for the diaphragm. And for all of the internal organs that the diaphragm displaces as it pushes downward or plunges downward. On your exhale, as your diaphragm rises and relaxes back underneath the ribs, engage your core and move the internal organs back up to where they were a moment ago before you took your inhale. Take 3 more breaths like that, inhaling into lower belly, lower back, expanding more into the space between your ribs and your hips now to the side body. As though the waistline, the lower waistline, is breathing with you, expanding outward. As you exhale, hug left and right sides of lower torso in. Draw the navel back toward your spine. And hug your lower back muscles toward the lower spine as well. Now move your hands back up to your ribs. You can slide your thumbs back behind the back ribs. Palms are on the sides of your rib cage. Fingers wrap around your front ribs. Take an inhale and begin to use your intercostal muscles even more. Pull the ribs to the left and the right as you take your next in-breath. Exhale, hug the ribs back towards your spine. We're knitting the rib cage in with our internal intercostals. Do that much again. Inhale, pull the ribs open. Your external intercostals are pulling the space, increasing the space between your ribs. Then feel the back and the front of your body also expanding, front ribs toward the sky, back ribs toward the ground as you inhale. Exhale, front and back ribs back toward each other and back toward the center of your body. On your next inhale, please breathe in those 4 directions again. Front and back of the body expanding away from each other, left and right expanding away from each other on inhale. Exhale, front and back, left and right, hug in. Like you're playing an accordion. On the inhale, as the air comes in, the accordion expands, pulls the breath, or pulls the air in. On your exhale, if you're playing music, right, you're going to squeeze both sides of the accordion in to make that beautiful sound. Take 3 more breaths like that. Inhaling, mostly only to the ribs. Try to isolate here for a moment. We will bring all this back together, but for right now, expanding to the ribs. Our floating ribs, the back and the front, both sides. Exhaling from both sides, back and front. As you draw everything back, as though you're hugging your spine with the insides of your ribs. And now finally bring your attention up to your chest. You can bring your hands up to the chest if you'd like. You're going to bring your thumbs to the front of your shoulders here. Your forefinger and middle finger are going to point toward the soft part of your throat so that you can really feel the Ujjayi breath happening there. You'll also feel from there how your collarbones move and slide away from the soft part of your throat. And the last 2 fingers are touching the sternum so that we remind ourselves that the sternum rises on the inhale as the chest broadens. Make sure that you're not contracting your neck muscles here. It's super easy to do. Please, again, our hands are there to notice that. If your neck muscles are taut, right, then that means that they are doing the work that they should not be doing. Notice too that you can breathe into your back body. If you are seated and you do have the flexibility in the arms, you can bring your thumbs to the back body as well. So your hands kind of come underneath your armpits. You're pushing the palms of your hands into the sides of the upper ribs. Push your ribs out into your palms. As you inhale, keep the shoulders down away from your ears. Exhale. Again, as though we're playing an accordion. The sides of your upper ribs are hugging back in toward the sternum, and the shoulder blades are hugging in the back body toward the spine. There's no pinching, there's no forcing. Take 3 more breaths like that. You can bring your arms down at any time. Isolating right now the chest, the upper back, the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the spaces between your upper ribs, the front and the back of your upper thoracic ribs. And on your exhale, of course, we're knitting everything back toward the spine, the front and the back of the body hugging in, the left side and the right side of the upper ribs hugging in as well. Now, if you haven't already, let's bring the arms down alongside your torso, or if there's a part of your body that is more challenging to access, bring your hands to that part so that you have the kinesthetic hint there for you as well. We're going to start with a strong exhalation and draw the navel all the way back to the spine. Empty everything out. Now we will combine these 3 parts of our breath with Viloma, with a pattern interrupt. Inhale, breathe into the lower back, lower belly, the front and the back of your pelvis as well. Hold for a moment. Feel 1/3 of the way full. Inhale up into the floating ribs, the back and the front and both sides, pulling them open. Hold, feeling 2/3 of the way full. Inhale into your chest and your upper back, your shoulders, the backs and the fronts of the shoulders, pausing again, feeling completely full of breath. As you exhale, exhale first from your chest. Pause and hold. Second exhale from the floating ribs. Squeeze those ribs in. Hold again. Third exhale from lower belly, lower back. Hold again. Take Uddiyana Bandha here if you'd like. Release the bandha. Inhale, belly and pelvis. Take the breath. Hold. Solar plexus on your next inhale takes the breath. Hold, feeling 2/3 of the way full. Heart center, back, front, and both sides. Take the third inhalation. Without your shoulders coming up, without your neck muscles working. Hold for a third time. Exhale, first from the chest and the upper back. Hold, feeling still 2/3 of the way full. Exhale from the floating ribs, the lower ribs, the lower thoracic cavity. Hold again. Still feeling a third of the way full. Third exhale here to hug the navel back toward the spine. Knit the sides of your torso in. It's almost like you're pulling your kidneys toward the spine and the back body as well. Hold with Uddiyana Bandha if you would like. Or simply hold for a moment. And begin again. One more time, inhale. Belly, lower back, pause and hold. Inhale into floating ribs, back, front, both sides, hold again. Inhale into chest, upper back, shoulder blades, sternum. Hold for a third time. Exhale first from chest and upper back. Hold. Exhale next from the center of your body. Third chakra, hold again. Exhale from lower belly, pelvis, lower back, back of pelvis, hold, empty. If you'd like to take Uddiyana Bandha here, pull the navel even further towards your spine. And then as though you could zip that navel underneath your ribs, please go ahead and do that. Feel that stronger hold, that deeper internal connection. And when you're ready to take another inhale, release your bandha first. And now inhale from hips to shoulders without any holds. Exhale all the air out without any holds. Take 3 more breaths, establishing the rhythm that you will continue throughout your practice. So in this, now we're looking to inhale from the pelvis filling to the belly filling, to the ribs, floating ribs filling up, to the chest and the upper back filling. So this is going to take at least 4 seconds, 1 second per body part, right? Pelvis, belly, floating ribs, chest. If you can do twice that long, 3 times that long even, you should be able to practice that as well. Notice that the exhale is going to feel like it's petering out before the end. You've got to keep your attention there to take your exhale all the way to emptiness. This practice really does rely on a very strong exhale to support you because we're doing this without props. As you finish your third exhalation here, hollow out the belly. Notice how long it took you to inhale. Notice how long it took you to exhale. Make sure those are fairly even and equal. The exhale should be longer than the inhale, or completely equal. On your very next exhalation, we're going to bring the navel back toward the spine. Again, please feel free to keep your eyes closed. You can always look at the video and make sure you can see me here. I am now lying down with you. The palms are face up. Take a huge inhale, allow the belly to rise, the floating ribs to expand, and the heart center to inflate. Exhale, draw just your right knee into your chest. You can clasp your hands around your right shin here, but make sure you're not forcing the knee into the chest. Inhale deeply into your belly and into your ribs, especially the right side. Exhale, draw the knee in, hollow out, and slowly coax your right knee over to the right armpit. Your left leg is active and rooting down into the ground or into the mattress. Take an inhale now into the right side of your rib cage. Expand your right ribs to the right side of your thigh. This will get better the more you do this, so please don't think that you can't do it. We just need to coax these muscles into working harder than they usually do. Exhale, draw the right ribs in toward your spine and draw the right knee closer to the right armpit. One more inhale like that, breathing into right side body, breathing all the way down into the right hip, the back of your hip, the hip socket itself. Exhale, draw the knee in a bit closer. Now bring your right hand to your right outer shin or even your right outer thigh and unhinge your right leg, reaching your right leg out to the right side of the room. You're going to keep your right hand holding your right shin, the outer shin. We are not pushing down on the leg. We are letting the leg descend into the support of the right hand. Meanwhile, your left arm is going to reach out, so hopefully we're not in a twin bed. Hopefully we've got at least a double here. Take an inhale to open up the chest. Breathe so deeply that the breath filters right down into that right inner thigh. Keep the left glutes rooting down into the solid surface beneath it. You will feel like you have to use your abdominals here to support this stretch, so please make sure that every exhalation is a reminder to engage your core strongly. Flex your right foot now, nice and easy, and begin to circle through your right ankle. Even though this seems like a superfluous movement, it does actually encourage lubrication of that ankle joint. Reverse the circle, which is wonderful when we are trying to keep our joints flexible and mobile. When we move, the synovial glands are encouraged to secrete the fluid that keeps the joints lubricated. Take one more inhale here. See if maybe and probably the right ankle can move a little closer to the right side of the room or closer to the ground. Now very slowly use your right arm to bring your right leg back up over your right hip. Take an inhale here, flex your right foot. Bring your right arm down so that we aren't using our arms here at all. As the right foot flexes, engage your abdominals on your exhale. Engage your right quadriceps, the front of your right thigh. And draw the right toes further over your head. Inhale so deeply that your back expands into the ground. Really, truly expand. Don't stop inhaling until you feel that. Exhale, pull the toes back more toward the back wall or the wall behind your head. Quads are active, abs are even stronger. Now take an inhale, bend your right knee. Bring your left hand now to the outside of your right knee or right shin or right thigh or all of the above and coax the right leg across your body to the left side. You're going to roll all the way onto your left hip bone on purpose. You may need to lift the pelvis and then sit it back down so that you really do feel the left hip on the ground. Your left hand is going to come to the crease of your right knee, and then you're going to slowly lay your torso back down if you brought it up. Reach your right arm to the right as far as it is willing to go. We're going to let the right shoulder blade stay off the floor for this one. But the movement, the direction of your right shoulder blade is down toward the floor or toward your mattress. You're reaching your right arm even more to the right. Your gaze is still over to the left here. And we are breathing into our entire body as we've already established. But now while we have this nice stretch happening in the lower back right side, make sure you're also breathing into the right side of your lower back. As you exhale, we're bringing out just a little more. Reach your right fingers more to the right. Push your left ear closer to the floor so we increase the stretch on the upper traps and again those neck muscles. Take a final exhale here, ring out, go further by emptying out. Remember that you can take Uddiyana Bandha at the end of every exhalation, but especially in a twist, it's very helpful and a lot safer than forcing the twist with our arms or our legs. Release your left hand back down. We're going to bring the right leg up. You can even use your left arm to help you bring it underneath your right knee rather. So your left hand will come to the inside of your right knee, and you'll coax the right leg back up over your right hip. Roll onto your back again. Extend your right leg up to the sky. Take an inhale here. Flex your right foot. Exhale the right leg as slowly as you possibly can down. Again, I told you we're going to need some core work here. We're going to need some core connection, strong exhales to support us through this practice. Once your right heel touches the floor, take a deep inhale. Reconnect to the rhythm you established a little while ago. On the exhale, let your whole body just melt into the earth. Take another inhale here. Exhale, draw the left knee in. Clasp your hands around your left shin. Your right leg is fairly active, acting as an anchor. Draw the left knee into your chest without forcing it on your exhale, and take another inhale into the left side of your rib cage, left side of lower belly. We're expanding into that space between so that our ribs rise up to meet our left thigh. Exhale, coax the left knee in towards your left armpit. Reach your right arm out to the right. You're just holding onto the left shin with your left hand now. Inhale deeply into the left outer hip and also the left side of your rib cage. Breathing so deeply into the left ribs that they do truly expand to touch the left inner thigh or get somewhere close. Exhale, draw the left ribs in toward the left side of your spine. Keep your right arm rooting down easily. Keep the right glutes on the floor. Take another inhale. Send your breath now into the back of your left hip, the outer side of the left hip, and even all the way up the back of your left thigh a bit here as well. Exhale, draw the knee in a bit closer. Feel the stretch on the lower back. Please keep your shoulder blades on the floor and relaxed. Shoulders away from the ears. Take your left hand to the outside of your left shin. Inhale, extend the left leg out. If grabbing the shin is not happening, your hand can come underneath the left thigh. We are using our left arm to support the weight of our left leg so that the inner thigh doesn't feel like it has to do that. We want the left inner thigh to relax here. So we're breathing to the left inner thigh. Flex the foot, push the inner edge of your left foot into the left wall. Not into the real wall, but just imagine you have a wall there in case you do have a wall there, maybe you do. But in case you don't, root into an imaginary wall. Feel this stretch increase from your left inner thigh all the way through the left inner heel. Check in with your right glutes. Make sure your glutes are on the ground or on the mattress. They are not rolling off the floor. We're not rolling to the left here. Your right hand is gently pressing down, but please make sure your shoulders and your neck are relaxed. Breathe so deeply again that we fill up the entire pelvis with breath. And then we filter that inhale through the left inner thigh, left inner knee, left inner shin. On the next exhale, using your left arm, coax the left leg very slowly up over your left hip. Take your left arm down, flex your foot. We're going to stretch our hamstrings now and our calves. Again, please make sure your right leg is anchored to the ground. We're not tensing the right leg, but it is anchored there. Pull the toes, the left toes back. Push the sole of your left foot up. This will feel like you can actually contract your abdominals a lot more if you just push the foot into the ceiling above you. Again, unless you have a really low ceiling, it'll be an isometric imagining of rooting into the real ceiling. As you exhale, pull the toes back, your abs are strong, your quads are engaging. Please make sure you can feel your abs working. Just because this is restorative doesn't mean we can't use our integrity to draw us deeper into these stretches. So if your abs start to shake, great. You're getting the core workout while you're in bed. Take another strong inhale here. Root through the inner edge of your left foot even more. Exhale, pull the toes down towards your knees. Feel the stretch increase from the back of your left knee all the way through your Achilles tendon. Your quads are strong, your abs are engaged. And now bend your left knee. Bring the right hand to the outside of your left knee, your left shin, your left thigh, and slowly roll all the way over, and I do mean slowly, to the right side. We're not moving quickly through any of these transitional movements. Your left arm is going to reach to the left. The left shoulder blade will most likely be off of the floor. Again, you may find that you need to bring your left hand down for a moment to lift the right hip off the ground so that you can, excuse me, so that you can point your right hip bone or have the right hip bone on the floor for real. And then your left arm can come back out to the left. Your palm is face up. We are turning our head in the same direction that the knees are pointing for this one. And we are breathing as deeply as we can here. The right hand is in the crease of the left knee. We're not pushing down. We're not forcing this at all. We're simply breathing from the top of the left side of the pelvis, the back of the pelvis, all the way down the outer glutes, from the sit bone all the way down the outer thighs toward where your hand is, lightly pressing behind the left knee. Take a strong exhale to wring out. This is a wringing out for the middle of your back here. So every time we do a twist, it's going to target a different part of your spine. Please take the longest, deepest inhale into the middle of your back as well as your lower back. Pull the back ribs away from the spine. Create more space in between the ribs themselves. And exhale to see if maybe the left shoulder blade can get closer to the ground. Roll over onto your back again. Please don't do this quickly. Move as slowly as you can until you're lying onto your back again. Extend your left leg up to the ceiling. Take a long and strong inhale here. And with a long, strong exhale, bring the left leg back down to the ground. Take an inhale when you get there. And as you exhale, release your body back down into the earth. Soften your face and your jaw, your eyes and your forehead. I just remembered that we forgot to rotate through the left ankle, so we're going to do that right now. Just rotate the foot through the ankle. And remember, we want to go in both directions. So reverse the circle. You could do this with both feet as well. There's no overdoing this. And so after doing a few rotations in both directions, shake the legs out, soften the muscles of your legs, and release into the earth. Taking another inhale here, breathing so deeply that you feel the backs of your ribs expanding into the ground. On your next exhale, bring one knee at a time up in toward the armpits again. Right knee to right armpit, left knee to left armpit. Your hands are coming around your shins. If that bugs your shoulders, please, you don't have to use your arms here at all. Just let your arms stay on the bed or on the ground. And then just lift one hip, the back of one hip at a time, rotating. So that your knee, if your right hip is up, your right knee is coming in towards your chest. And we're kind of rolling to the left. And then as your right glutes come down, your left knee comes in towards your sternum. As your left hip lifts and we're rolling kind of to the right. Not very much, but kind of. Keep that going. Kind of is such a perfect term. I use it way too often, but do notice that there's this mobility So that very quickly you may find you're rolling more to one side than you were before. But we're not doing this at all to think we need to get anywhere. We're just mobilizing. The knees, by the way, are not together. They are wider than your rib cage for sure as you do this. Again, you've got to be able to use your core here, so please move with your exhale. You're going to feel this tomorrow even though you were lying down the entire time. It's just how I roll, and you guys know that. All right, from here we're going to roll all the way over onto our left side body. We're going to stack the knees. Bring your right hand across your body so that the right hand will now rest on your left hand. Again, hopefully we're not in a twin-size bed here. You are going to roll onto the outside of the left shoulder. Your left ear is facing the mattress or the ground. And you're noticing, hopefully, that the right side of your body is wide open. Inhale into the right side of your body. As you exhale, we're going to knit the left ribs off of the floor as we press the outside of the left hip down into the ground. Not your hip bone, but just the outer side of the glutes. The gluteus medius there. As you exhale, push down through the lower ribs. Inhale into the right ribs again. This time, pull the right sit bone as far away from your right shoulder as possible. And as you exhale, knit the left ribs away from the ground. Pull the right sit bone as far away from the shoulder as possible again. Do that one more time. Inhale, expand your ribs, the lower ribs into the floor. Expand the upper ribs into the sky. Exhale. Arch the left ribs away from the mat or the floor or the mattress. And again, on your last breath here, we're going to let the ribs descend. Take an inhale into the right ribs. This time we're going to take the right arm, reach it all the way up to the ceiling so your fingertips are pointing toward the sky. Check in with your neck, make sure it is neutral. Exhale, reach your right arm over your right ear toward the wall above your head. Now, if your thumb can touch down, great. If the tip of your thumb can touch down, fabulous. If not, no worries. You can keep it in the air. Just reach your fingers toward the wall behind your head. Meanwhile, your right sit bone is reaching as far away from the fingertips as possible. So you're going to feel the lower waistline arching away from the floor easily. Inhale into this increased stretch on the right side of your body. As you exhale, maybe the thumb can touch down. If not, just keep it hovering there and reach the fingers toward the wall behind your head. And then begin to turn your palm up toward the ceiling. And slowly, slowly sweep your left arm, and I really mean slowly here. Your right arm rather is going to open very, very slowly to the right side. So it's almost like we're just sweeping the right hand, the back of your right hand, down until it reaches that place where your right arm is basically on the same plane as your right shoulder. Once you do that, you are moving into a twist here, but again, take this slowly. Your chest is opening. Your right shoulder blade is now descending down. And this time I'm going to have you bring your knee, your right knee, toward your chest. Please keep both arms on the ground or on the mattress. The palms are facing up. Please breathe into the right side of your lower back. As you exhale, engage your abdominals strongly and hollow out the belly. Rooting down through the right shoulder blade. Keep the exhale going. Maybe you find Uddiyana Bandha at the end of that. Now take another inhale here. Expand your ribs. Exhale, root the right shoulder blade down even more. Now turn your head to look over your right shoulder. Please notice that your shoulders are probably up around your ears. Draw them down. And now as you slide your right knee back to stack over your left knee, please check in with the left side of your neck. Reaching your left fingertips as far away from your left ear as possible. Take an inhale. Right underneath your left ear, send the inhale down the left side of your neck, the top of the shoulder. Press down to the back of your left hand, increase the stretch, bring your right ear closer to the floor. Please keep your right shoulder away from your right ear. Shoulder blade is on the floor or the mattress. But now, just as slowly as you can here, we're going to keep the chest open, the shoulder blades on the ground. Your head is going to turn up so that if your eyes are open, you're looking at your ceiling, unless you get to do this outside, in which case you are very lucky. And then we're going to bring the right knee off of the left knee, open the right knee to the right side, and move right into a Supta Baddha Konasana. If you're not sure what that is, open your eyes here and look at the camera for a second, or look at your video for a second. This is with the soles of your feet together, right? They actually don't even have to stay together. They're just facing each other. Your knees are opening to either side. And we're just going to let the edges of the feet rest on the ground. The knees are opening. There's a little outer thigh engagement there so that the soles can start to actually face the ceiling if you have that flexibility. Your gaze is up. Your eyes can now close again. Please take a breath and reconnect to the rhythm that you established at the beginning of your practice. We want a bare minimum of a 4-second inhale, a little pause at the top, and a 4-second exhale. You can remember that 1 second could be for your pelvis, another for your belly, another for your floating ribs, and the 4th second for the chest and the upper back. Or just fill up your entire torso for at least 4 seconds before you take your next exhalation. The exhale lasts at least another 4 seconds, if not longer, depending on how long your inhale is. Make sure your exhale lasts at least as long as every inhale. The knees are opening. The soles of your feet may want to open even more away from each other. You don't have to push them together. We're not trying to keep the knees up. We're not engaging our inner thighs. We are relaxing the inner thighs. We're letting the leg bones actually give in to the pull of gravity. This is kind of a yin posture as well. So let gravity support you here. Let it help you into this stretch. Just the tiniest bit of engagement in those outer thighs. And while we're resting here and allowing the hips to really get the stretch that they need, I'm going to ask you to bring your arms down just a little closer to the sides of your torso. Your palms will still face up. And I'll have you rotate your head side to side. So your left ear will move toward the left side. You'll probably notice that that left shoulder is up a little bit towards your chin. So just draw the left shoulder down as far away from the chin as possible. Turn your head up to the sky again. And now turn your head to the right. See how far your right ear can get, how close you can get your right ear to the floor. Notice your right shoulder's probably coming up, draw it down. Feel the stretch on the left side of your neck. We are not forcing this, we're just moving slowly, head side to side. Keep it going in your own time and pace. I really encourage you to slow all of your movements down, all of your transitions. You could think about pacing the exhale to match the duration of the time it takes you to get your chin to move down towards your shoulder, one or the other. And pace it so that for the duration of your inhale, you're bringing your chin back up to point toward the sky again. Exhale your chin over to one shoulder, your ear drops toward the ground. Inhale, the chin comes back up, and the soft part of your throat is open. Meanwhile, your hips are still stretching. Please breathe to your hips as well as to your neck. Finish the round that you're on, moving your head side to side, and please take just one more round. If the shoulders are coming up around the ears again, keep lowering them. And then bring it back up to center. Inhaling. Roll over now so that your left knee is going to roll over to stack over the right knee. Roll all the way onto your right ribs. And bring your left hand over to stack on top of your left. Did I say that right? Your left hand is a stack on top of your right. Okay, your knees are in close, and your chest is fairly facing toward the ground a little bit here as we move into our fetal position. Usually fetal position is a pose that we just do without thinking about it at the end of our practice. So this is an active fetal pose. And we're breathing into the left side of our rib cage now. Expanding our left ribs toward the sky. As you exhale, you're arching your right ribs away from the earth. Inhale. Let the ribs expand, both of them. Your right ribs will expand down, your left ribs will expand up. Spend a little more time expanding into your left ribs. Exhale, pull the left ribs in. And knit your right ribs up as you press the outside of your right hip into the ground. Do one more like that, inhaling into the left side body. Inhale into the space between your left hip and your left ribs, especially here, drawing the left sit bone toward the lower, really toward your own ankles. And as you exhale, arch the right side of the body away from the ground, hugging right side of your rib cage in toward the right side of your spine. Inhale now to lift your left arm up over your shoulder. Your fingertips are reaching to the ceiling here. And exhale, reach your left arm over your head. Your fingertips are reaching toward the headboard of the bed if you are doing this in your bed, or on the floor just over your head toward the wall behind your head. Now in this position you're going to feel an even greater stretch on the left side. Try to get your right shoulder to come out from underneath you a little bit so you're not compressing the right shoulder. You're breathing from your left sit bone all the way to your left fingertips. If the thumb is not touching the floor, no big deal, or the mattress, just reach your fingers toward the wall behind your head. This is not a passive breath. We're in this pose so that we can access the entire left side of our body. Why wouldn't we be breathing into it while we're here? It makes no sense otherwise, right? So we're not just placing our arm there and just kind of limply sitting here. We're lengthening, engaging, and opening. And now slowly turn the palm up toward the ceiling and start to, again, I'm going to say this a million times, slow this down. Slowly, 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 because this is massaging your shoulder girdle as well, and a lot of us have issues in our shoulders, so we want to take this as slowly as we can. Roll open. Your left hand, the back of your left hand is on the ground. You're reaching your left fingertips as far to the left as possible. I'm going to continue sliding the left hand down until the left arm is basically on the same plane as your left shoulder. Turn your head to look over your left shoulder. And now we're going to bring the left knee toward the sternum. Your right hand can take a hold of the crease of the knee if you'd like to, or you can just let it rest there. Your right arm reaches out to the right, the left arm reaches out to the left. In this position, you'll notice that the twist is a little different from the last time we did a twist. So we are finding the breath in the lower back. We're sending the breath up into the floating ribs, the back of the floating ribs, particularly your left back ribs. We're breathing underneath the left shoulder blade even here. Every exhalation is another opportunity to wring out a little more. When you feel prepared, you can turn your head even more to the left. Feel the stretch on the right side of your neck. And maybe now we bring the right fingertips even further away from the right ear. Breathe as deeply as you can underneath your right ear, along the right side of your neck, the top of your right shoulder, and down the outside of your right arm. I feel this all the way down the arm, even into the hand, a nice stretch. You're slowly increasing the stretch by bringing your left ear closer to the floor. Take a final inhale here into the stretch that you are feeling on the right side of your neck. As you exhale, we're going to turn the head so that the head faces up toward the sky. Your eyes can stay closed here. Again, slowly moving your left knee off of your right knee. Open your left knee back out. You may want to push down through the outer edges of your feet to lift the entire pelvis up off of the floor or off of the mattress. And exhale to slowly let the pelvis descend back down. Your knees open. The soles of your feet are opening here. Our gaze is up. Inhale deeply, richly, fully. Hips, belly, floating ribs, chest. Exhale just as completely, hugging your lower spine, your middle spine, and your upper spine. Your shoulders descend, your back descends, and you allow the back of your body and the backs of your thighs to rest on the ground. By the way, if your knees are way up off of your mat or off of the floor, we're just going to slide your heels further forward. It's not that big of a deal. We're not trying to necessarily keep the heels all the way into the groin. There's just, again, that doesn't really make sense for all of us, especially if the hip flexors tighten up. So please find a space that's right for you. And now while we continue to let the inner thighs, groin, inner hips stretch, we're going to bring both arms up directly over our shoulders. On your inhale, we're going to move the shoulder blades down and let the chest open so that our arms open a little wider. But on our exhale, we're going to actually lift the shoulder blades off of the floor and bring the palms together. You're going to push your palms together with a strong exhalation. Meanwhile, the soles of your feet are not pushing together. They're going to want to as the palms press together, but keep the soles of your feet actually opening away from each other. Let's do that again. Inhale, lay the shoulder blades on the ground. Take your arms wider. The palms are still facing each other. Exhale, bring the palms together. The shoulder blades are pushing down into the ground. And the palms press together. This is an isometric, slowing down. So the slower you go, the more you're going to feel this. One more inhale. Let the upper back arch off the floor. The outsides of the shoulders are pressing down. As you exhale, the shoulder blades move away from your spine. And the palms come in. Now your hands are in prayer position. Bend your elbows. If your eyes are open, you'd be looking at the creases of your elbows. If you want to open your eyes and just make sure that that's happening, your thumb is going to touch down back behind your head. Please make sure that your neck is neutral here. If you need to, you can just roll it back to side a few times. But make sure there's a little gap between your neck and the mattress or the floor. Your thumbs and your forefingers, or just your thumbs or just your forefingers, are touching the bed behind your head or the floor behind your head. keep your elbows where they are now and push your arms slowly back up to the sky. The elbows are not moving forward. Keep the elbows where they are. Exhale, bend the elbows so that the thumbs touch behind the head again. The tips of the forefingers can also touch. Inhale, extend the arms straight. Keep pushing your hands in toward each other. Let your arms shake. And one more time. Still pushing the hands together, thumbs come down. And on your inhale, push back up. And now please let your arms relax back out to either side of the room. Take a huge inhale. Remember, the hips are still stretching. Breathe to that stretch. Exhale. You can even exhale through your mouth and just take a long sigh as you allow the back of your body to truly descend into the support of the earth. Now slide your hands to the outer thighs. Use your arm strength to coax your knees toward each other. Your inner thighs are extremely relaxed. Please don't use the inner thighs here. Use your arms. Slide the heels in a little closer to your sit bones for a moment so that your inner knees are touching. Your inner thighs are definitely touching. And maybe your inner ankles are even touching. Once you're there, take your arms down and relax. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. You might want to shake those out. Make sure your neck is relaxed and neutral. You may want to turn your head side to side a few times. Take an inhale here. And move your sacrum down. Let your lumbar and thoracic spine come off the floor. Stay right here. Breathe here. If it's too pinchy on your lower back, that means you've pushed your belly up too far. Let your belly descend until you find a natural release here. Your sacrum is down. Your lumbar and thoracic, at least your mid-thoracic and lower thoracic, are off the ground. Your shoulder blades may still be on the mat, and that's totally fine. Please allow your belly to truly rise on this inhale. Let your ribs truly expand. And let your chest absolutely inflate. Hopefully no one is watching you, so that you're not so worried about your belly looking like you're a few months pregnant, because guess what? On the exhale, it all goes away. And we get to release back into the earth. Do that one more time. Inhale, the sacrum descends. The lumbar, the lower thoracic, your mid-thoracic peel away from the ground. The whole front of the body is taking that deep inhale. As you exhale, squeeze the inner thighs together now. Pull the sacrum forward towards your heels so that your sit bones track towards your heels. And now we're pulling the top of our pelvis away from the lower ribs. Draw the sit bones up towards your knees. You should feel like your core is, especially your transverse, really working here. You're cinching your hip bones closer together. You put your hands on your belly. Your navel should be really strongly drawing back toward the spine. That's going to press the lumbar spine down. And now we're going to walk the feet out to the edges of your mat. If you are not on a yoga mat, you're going to walk your feet out. You can open your eyes and look at your own feet. They should be about 2 feet away from each other. If that's not happening, just bring them, as close as you need to, right, to be comfortable here. Now, with your knees in and the outer edges of your feet out, make sure you're rooting down through the outer edges of your feet. You'll feel the inner arches rise. And if the inner arches are not rising, here's another great thing you get to do. You get to strengthen your arches while you're in bed. You're taking the pads of your toes and just pulling the pads of your toes toward the arches. You'll feel the arches rise. And another great thing you'll feel here, you'll definitely feel this if you're even doing these little things with your toes. You're going to feel your glutes right where your sit bones are, so not so much the upper glutes. We're not clenching the sacrum. But you'll feel the lower glutes actually engage more as the toes drag back toward the balls of the feet and the arches rise. So again, this is for all of these little muscle groups that we don't normally get to work here. We get to find them. You're going to feel them hopefully tomorrow. Keep that engagement going. Take a long inhale here. Please allow your belly to fill up with breath. No one's watching. Unlike me, I get to record all of this for posterity. Belly rising, ribs expanding, chest inflating. As you exhale, squeeze those inner knees together. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Root down to the outer edges of your feet. Drag the pads of your toes toward the balls of the feet. Pull the sit bones toward your knees. 2 more. Take a deep breath in. Belly and pelvis. Ribs, front and back. Chest and upper back. Exhale, squeeze the knees together. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Root down through the outer edges of your feet. The pads of your toes push down and drag in. That will activate the lower glutes. The sit bones will then pull more toward the knees. If you're Charlie horsing your hamstrings, don't work so hard. Do that one more time. Take your inhale. And one more exhalation. Inner thighs, inner knees, hugging in, outer edges of feet rooting down, pads of your toes dragging in, create more of an arch away from the floor through the feet. Sit bones move towards your heels, or even toward the knees. And release slowly by drawing your knees open. Now, once the knees open, slide your feet in so that your feet are lined up with your sit bones now. Take an inhale. You're going to start with your arms alongside your torso again. Take the arms, the backs of your forearms and push them down. Bring the chin up so that there's a gap between your neck and the ground. Take a huge inhale again, as we're still doing and we will continue to do. As you exhale, scoop the pelvis off the floor here. So your arms will come out from underneath you. You're going to press down through the backs of your ribs, the shoulder blades, and the backs of your shoulders. You're also pressing down, though, through the lower back and your lumbar spine. So this is a really strong contraction internally, but it's a really small movement. So if you're not sure if you're doing this right, just open your eyes for a sec. I'm going to show you my hips. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. Okay? So the hips, on the inhale, the lumbar spine is going to arch, and even you can see the small of the back. You see my hand there? I've got a space there. So you want that space on your inhale. On your exhale, we're going to reverse it. We're pressing the back down, and then we're taking the pelvis. You can even use your hands here to help you. You're going to tilt the pelvis up. The back of the pelvis comes up. The lumbar spine, though, I can no longer reach my arm underneath there because the lumbar, the small of your back, is pressing onto the ground or onto your bed, right? Let's do that again. Inhale, sacrum down. Allow your back to arch as much as it wants to. We're not forcing it, but we are allowing it. We are looking for greater range of motion. As you exhale, shoulder blades, back of ribs, lower back. Press down, the small of your back presses down, and the pelvis comes up. This is not about your glutes clenching or your hamstrings firing. They'll do that in a sec, but right now it's your core. Your core is working. Good. On your next inhale, let's extend the spine. Find that gap so that you can slide your arm underneath. You don't have to keep your arm there, just make sure you have that gap. Exhale, scoop the pelvis up. Go ahead and close your eyes again. Pull the sit bones toward the knees, press the lumbar spine down, and on your next inhale, begin to peel the rest of your spine off of the floor into a bridge pose. At the top of your inhale, walk your arms underneath you a little more and just push down with the soles of your feet as you begin to exhale. Take an inhale now and reach your arms up and back toward the wall behind you, behind your crown. And on your exhale, take your arms and your spine very slowly back down. Please move slowly. Close your eyes and watch your spine with your mind's eye. Roll down one vertebra at a time. And then place your next vertebra, and then the next. as though your spine is one long string of pearls and you're placing one pearl at a time onto the bed or onto the floor or onto your mat. Take an inhale when you get there. Extend your spine again. Your sacrum descends, your palms are on the floor. Exhale, scoop the pelvis up. Point your sit bones towards your knees. This time your arms and your spine will rise at the same time. Inhale to lift your lower back, right? The lumbar spine up, and then your lower thoracic, and then your mid-thoracic. So you're peeling your back ribs off the floor. And then your upper thoracic, you're peeling your shoulder blades up. Press back through the backs of your hands as you exhale. Push down through the soles of your feet. Inhale, lift the hips even higher. Feel your hamstrings and your glutes working now. Make sure your chin is not tucked into the soft part of your throat. We do want that gap between the neck and the floor. On your exhale, keep your spine from just dropping down, please. You do have the inner strength to do this. You just have to decide that you're going to stay present enough to use it, right? Your arms are coming down at the same time that your spine is descending. And we are still looking at our spine as one long, beautiful string of pearls, placing each pearl lovingly to the ground before we place the next one. And then inhale into an extended spine. Sacrum down. Your tailbone is also pointing down. Your lumbar and your lower and mid-thoracic are definitely off the floor, and maybe even your upper thoracic spine. One more time. Exhale, scoop pelvis up. Hollow out the belly, point your sit bones towards your knees, push down through your feet. Inhale, lift your lumbar, and then the entire rest of the back of your torso, so that as you come up and your arms, remember, are coming up with your spine. As your hips rise, your fingertips are reaching back, and you are all the way on your back shoulders. You're not on your shoulder blades here. To the best of your ability, please allow your shoulder blades to come up as well. Exhale to find the strength to support you in the back of your body, your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower, mid, and upper back. If your butt is dropping down, it means you're going to be compressing your spine. So don't do that. Keep the glutes active. Your glutes need a workout too. As you exhale, bring the arms up. I'm sorry, that sounded a little a little pedantic, but again, yeah, make sure that you are using the muscles that are meant to support you rather than your spine. As you lower down here, you're rolling your spine so slowly down that there's even greater range of motion. Eventually the pelvis will touch as the hands touch down as well, and we move back into that neutral spine. How are we doing? Take an inhale here. You're going to bring up your right foot, cross the right foot to the top of your left thigh. Flex your right foot. Take an inhale here. And before we lift the leg, the left foot off the floor, which we may not need to do, I'm going to invite you to simply point your right knee as far away from your right hip, or even think about the right knee moving away from your right shoulder here, toward the wall to the far side of where your feet would be pointing, right? So instead of bringing your knee in close to your chest here, we're going to bring it away from the chest. If you already feel a stretch here, I'm going to really encourage you today to just hold it here with your left foot on the ground or on the mattress, and the right knee moving as far away from the right shoulder as possible. This doesn't mean that our shoulders are hunched up. Check in, because they always tend to hunch up for whatever reason. And as soon as you relax your shoulders, your right knee is going to want to relax too. So again, shoulders are relaxed, but your right knee is not. Your right knee is really reaching. Now, if you do not feel this stretch, please keep your right knee moving away from you, but pick your left foot up off of the ground. Without using your arms right now, see how close your left knee is willing to come into your chest, while your right knee does not buckle into your right shoulder. So keep the right knee as far away from the right shoulder as possible. Draw the left thigh in as close to the chest as possible at the same time. If you are truly flexible, I'm going to have you reach your right arm through the little triangle you've created there, and clasp your hands around the left shin. We're going to coax the left knee in without letting your right knee crumble towards your right shoulder. Right? It is still, your right outer thigh is active here. We want to make sure, and you can check with your hand, you want to make sure, put your fingertips between your hip bone and your thigh bone. If there is nowhere to put your fingers, your knee is in too close. So, if that is the case, you either are lowering your knee, your left knee closer to the ground, or you're simply keeping your right hand on your right inner thigh and not pushing it, but simply making sure it doesn't cave in, right? So it's kind of a negotiation between the right knee opening and the left knee coming in. Wherever you get to, please make sure that you can breathe, and please make sure you're not jamming your right hip bone into your right thigh bone here. We're breathing as deeply as we ever have, because there is a lot of stretching happening in this pose. Remember the importance of your exhalation, to engage the muscles that are supporting this stretch. One last inhale here. Exhale, draw the knee in even closer. If your shoulders are hunched up around your ears, ask yourself why you need to be using your arms. You do not is the answer. Then place your left foot down to the floor. We're going to roll over to the left. This is a bit of a strange one, so you may need to open your eyes. You're going to place your right foot to the floor, the sole of your foot, not the inner edge or the outer edge, but the sole of your foot. Your right knee is going to point toward the sky. Your left foot is going to come onto the floor, and your left heel is going to inch its way towards your right sit bone. This is stretching your your left quadriceps. You can, if you have the flexibility, take this right hand to the top of your left foot. We are not compromising our left knee, however. If this hurts your knee, I mean at all, let go of your foot, slide your heel further away from your sit bone. Okay? This will come in time as well. Do this more than once, and you will feel each time that you can go a little further. So as that heel comes in toward the sit bone, you are engaging your left inner thigh to draw the left knee closer to the ground or to your mattress. Your right knee, by the way, is going to continue to point up to the sky. And your left arm is reaching out to the left. Keep the rooting down happening with the right foot. Please allow the stretch to increase on the left hamstrings. Did I say hamstrings? No. On your left quadriceps, your hamstrings are actually engaging here to support that. And your glutes, your left glutes are actually helping you push the left hip closer to the left wall. If this bugs your knee at all, you need to back off of any and all of that. The first thing you'd want to do if you feel any twinging in the knee is simply let go of your foot. Remember, you'll get better at this the more you do it. Now I'm going to have you roll onto the left hip bone again. Keep the left knee where it is, but let your left foot go. Extend your right leg straight as you can get it, toward the left wall. So we're rolling onto the left hip, left side body. Your right leg is reaching to the left. We're going to take our left hand, you may want to open your eyes again for this, left hand to the right hamstrings, but we're not going to pull the leg in closer. We're going to root down through the right hand. Let your right shoulder blades stay on the mat. Keep your neck relaxed and all of the good stuff. Keep breathing. Push your hamstrings into your left hand. Instead of pulling the leg closer, move your right leg further away from you. Draw the right sit bone toward your right knee, the back of your right knee. This will vastly and certainly increase the stretch on the lower back right side. As you exhale, do it again. Push hamstrings into your left hand. This is also a nice stretch on the left arm, by the way. Your right foot stays flexed. We're still rooting the right heel toward the left wall. The right leg can get even straighter here, maybe. So if your knee happens to be bent, you won't feel this nearly as much as if you can get that leg as straight as possible. Push the hamstrings, the back of your right thigh into your hand. Right sit bone toward the back of your right knee. Right shoulder blade on the floor. Wonderful. Now slowly release all of that. Bend your right knee. Roll onto your back. Draw your knees into your chest. Clasp your hands around your shin. We will get into the other side in just a moment. But for right now, just rock side to side. Your hands are on your shins. Your eyes are closed. You're watching this happen from the inner experience, not how it looks on the outside, but what it looks like from the inner body. Now bring both feet to the floor again. Taking an inhale here. Exhale, cross your left ankle to the top of your right thigh. Turn the left knee out. Please notice here that this hip may be more or less flexible than the other one. As your left knee points to the left, see if you can open it up any more away from your left shoulder. If you can, and if this feels like enough of a stretch for you, stay here. It should just feel good. It should feel like you're opening. Eventually, you may find that this isn't enough of a stretch for you. If that is the case, bring your right foot up off the ground. Now, as you bring the right knee in close, you may notice that this side can go a lot further than the other side, or for me, this is the side that is less flexible. So I'm going to stay right here. I'm not going to go any further right now. I'm not going to reach around and grab my shin and coax that in because that'll cause tension in the left hip area. I'm going to hold here and breathe a breath or two. And when I am ready, then I'm going to bring my knee in closer. I'm still not using my arms. I'm just going to see how far in, how close in my right knee can come to the right shoulder. Meanwhile, your left knee continues to move away from your left shoulder. When I feel ready, I can reach through and clasp my hands around the shin. I don't have to, you don't have to either. As long as you're feeling a stretch in the outer hip and really your glutes, you should feel this in the backs of your glutes as well, not just the side. Take a huge breath into that. The nice thing about this hip stretch, and most of hip stretches in general, is that they tend to really help us let go of tension if we're breathing and if our jaw is relaxed. So make sure that your jaw is relaxed. Make sure you are inhaling for at least those 4 seconds and exhaling for another 4. I'd love it if you can get closer to an 8-second inhale and 8-second exhale. And eventually you may be breathing for even longer than that. Take another strong exhale to draw the right knee in. Your shoulders are not working so hard. Your arms are working a bit here, right? But your shoulders don't have to hunch up around the ears. Take one more huge inhale into the left hip. Draw the left knee further away from your left shoulder. Again, you may have to bring your left hand into your left thigh, not to push it away, but to hold it from sinking toward the left shoulder instead. And remember, you can always check in and see if the left hip and the left thigh bone are touching. If they are, it means you need to back off of this. You don't want the knee and you don't want the hip bone and the thigh bone to be grinding into one another. It's super important to keep that left knee drawing away. Okay, let's roll over to the right now. The outside of your right knee is going to touch the ground. The sole of your left foot will touch the floor. Your left knee is going to point up. You can keep your right hand, if it's helpful, on the top of your left foot just to remind your foot to stay there, because it'll tend to collapse, right? So instead of collapsing, we want that activity going. Your left hand, again, you can open your eyes here if you need to. It's going to reach around to take a hold of the top of your right foot this time to stretch out your right quadriceps. I really like stretching my quads this way. It just feels a lot better on my knee. I hope you like it too. I'm going to press down through the inner thigh of your right leg. The inner knee comes closer to the floor. Your chest is opening. Long inhale here. And as you exhale, engage your right glutes a little bit here as well, so the right hip tracks away from the floor. The right hip is getting a little closer to the ceiling. Huge inhale. There's a lot happening here, right? If you're not holding on to your left foot with your right hand, you're still, whether or not you are really, you're still rooting down through the sole of your left foot, and your left knee continues to point up toward the sky. Take one final inhale here. Is your chest open? Let's go ahead and exhale our head over to the left. do one more breath here. Let your neck relax here, let your neck stretch. Push down with the sole of your left foot. See if maybe that right heel can get any closer to the glutes. We've already talked about the knee, making sure that your knee is not twinging. Let go of your foot if that is the case. Now, let go of your foot for sure. Here, slide the heel a little further away from the glutes. Roll more onto your right hip. Extend your left leg straight as you can get it. You're rooting the sole of your left foot into the wall to the right. Bring your right hand to your right hamstrings. Your left arm is reaching out, we're opening up. Push the back of your leg into your hand. Please keep your leg as straight as possible. This stretch is also happening in the lower back. I don't know if I mentioned that on the other side. It's going to help you draw the top of the left side of your pelvis away from your left ribs, which increases the stretch on the lower back. As you exhale, wring that out. Push the thigh bone into your hand. Push your hamstrings down instead of pulling the leg in closer. Take one more deep breath in. You can keep your head turned to the left if you'd like, or if this is too much on the neck here, your gaze can be up. Draw the left sit bone away from the left shoulder. Draw the left thigh bone further away from the torso, pushing into your hand. And slowly, slowly release out of that. Roll onto your back. One more time. We're going to draw those knees in toward the armpits again. And please just rock as slowly as you can, side to side. This time, instead of using your arms, take your arms out, somewhere close to your hips. Start rocking your knees even further away from your chest. Start rocking now across the lumbar spine. We're going to spend a little more time here. The lumbar spine, remember, is the small of your back, so you want to move even more slowly. This takes a lot of core engagement to rock actually across this part of your spine. Slowing down each side, taking it slow and without momentum. And now begin to rock now across the top of the pelvis and the back of the pelvis, so that we're rocking from the back of one hip, across the sacroiliac joints, across the sacrum, over to the back of the other hip. The knees come close to the ground. Eventually we rock the knees so far forward that now the toes are touching the floor. And we move the knees side to side. We're starting to move into a windshield wiper pose or movement. Once the toes touch the floor, keep that rocking going. And then eventually place the soles of your feet to the ground, rolling onto the edges of your feet. Inhaling the knees up again if you need to. You can take a look here. The knees come over one side and then the other. Your gaze is simply up. Now, once you have done that one more time to each side, so finish the round that you're on and take one more to each side of the room. And once you are finished, let's extend the legs beneath us. Arms reach out. I'm going to ask you to create a really wide star position with your arms reaching out, just lower than your shoulders so that we don't close off our circulation here. The legs are opening out as wide as you can get them. This is star pose instead of regular old Shavasana. Please notice that you are completely, hopefully, both relaxed and energized, so that when you get back to this pose, you feel tingling, you feel like there's a flow of energy, you feel like there's an increased circulation from your toes to the crown to your fingers. Hopefully everything feels just more alive. But you also, I hope, feel a lot more relaxed. Please bask in this feeling for at least another minute or two. I would recommend about 10 more minutes. If you don't have the time, just at least 1 or 2 more minutes here, just relaxing, before you roll all the way out of bed to get your day started. or before you decide to just go to sleep. Thanks so much for joining me. And have a wonderful rest of your day or your evening. Namaste.